Hey everyone, Timothy here. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about After the Bomb by Palladium Books. This is the second edition version. So we're just going to flip through it real quick, just kind of show you some of the things. As you see on the cover here, we got animal characters fighting people in armor and robots and such. So basically, to give you kind of a gist of the game. As I understand, sometime around the 21st century, they had mastered the human genome and they started to experiment with animal genomes. And they basically started giving animals kind of human traits where they could kind of stand up and have hands and all that stuff and talk and all that jazz. And it was kind of really all the rave. And basically, what happened was someone released what was called a gene bomb, and it wiped out a lot of humans. For the animals seemed like they were immune to it, but it wiped out a lot of humans, and basically the world pretty much fell apart. And you have two factions, at least here in North America. You have the animals of Cardania, and you have the Empire of Humanity. So they're kind of at odds with each other. So I kind of want to show you a little bit about the characters and such. So, like Palladium's normal character creation, you start off rolling 3d6 for each attribute. There's 8 attributes: IQ, ME, MA, PS, PP, PE, PB, and speed. This kind of gives you a little description here of what each attribute does. You can just pause the video if you want to actually read that. We're gonna. Then of course you select your type of animal, which that kind it's a little further back. Then you select your background and your skills. This will determine on some of the things your character will know. Obviously, feral characters aren't very well educated, whereas characters who are one of the academic underground, they're actually very educated. This kind of shows the BioE steps. So here is where a mouse starts off the size of a mouse, and then you can spend your BioE to get growth levels. He's still basically a mouse, but he's a lot bigger. And here you see he's kind of transformed a little bit, not like a lot. His face is becoming a little more human. So this is probably partial looks at best. Over here you also have kind of a mostly human look. And then over here you have a fully human look. And again, we're just spending BioE to make our character bigger. So here it kind of explains how to spend BioE. So a mouse starts at size level 1 for the most part. And then of course a regular person is probably somewhere around the 8 to 11 mark, depending on individual height or whatever. So that's all that is. And it kind of explains a little bit about your human attributes and this and that. And you can always buy psionics with your BioE. Then of course you calculate your hit points, your SDC, and your armor rating. Most animals don't have an armor rating. More of your turtles, for example, would have an armor rating because of the shell on the back. Maybe a rhino or an elephant might have an armor rating because of their thick skin. Crocodile and alligator, they probably do. So basically armor rating, as you can see in the picture here, things will just bounce off of you if they don't. Say you have an armor rating of 10, and normally it only needs armor rate. Basically you need to roll a 5 or higher on a d20 to hit someone in melee combat, and a 8 or higher on a d20 for ranged combat. So if you have an armor rating of 10, if they roll a 10 to hit you, they'll actually bypass your armor and actually do damage to you. On the other hand, say he rolls a 5 and he's punching you, well, sure, he hit you, but it didn't get past your armor rating. So basically, for natural armor, it just glances off and, no harm done to you. If you're wearing artificial armor, however, then your armor takes the damage instead of you. So that's the difference there. And this talks about some other things like coma and death. And PBE is potential psychic energy. ISP is inner strength points, and Chi is it's a little more for their martial arts stuff, but they put it down because Palladium has a big megaverse, and a lot of it's interconnected. Kind of like your MCU, but done better. All right. PPE, by the way, determines your ability to use magic for the most part. Most people don't have a lot. Animal characters tend to have a little more. So they are a little more predisposed to using magic, but most of them kind of avoid it. So your alignment, this is... it's not quite the same as Dungeons and Dragons, but you know, you have your good alignments, principled and scrupulous. Principled is like your lawful good. Scrupulous is a little more of your neutral good. You have your unprincipled and your anarchist. These are selfish alignments. Unprincipled is kind of like your chaotic good, and anarchist is a little bit like your I don't know. I probably call it maybe. I won't say chaotic neutral. It's not quite like that, but that's probably the closest one D&D has to it. Your evil alignments, aberrant is kind of like your lawful evil. Miscreant is like your neutral evil, and diabolic is your chaotic evil, basically. So your experience table, everyone has the same experience point chart. Every time you level, basically you get 1d6 in your hit points, and your skills go up a certain percentage based on the skill. You get XP for performing a skill, whether it, when it matters. So basically, under stress, not just for, hey, I have sculpting and whittling, and I'm gonna make this thing because I'm bored and got nothing to do. That you don't get it for that. So, if you're trying to pick a lock in the middle of a firefight, then it matters. You get 25 XP for a clever or feudal idea. 100 points for a clever idea that's useful. 100 points for quick thinking. 200 points for a critical plan. 400 to 1,000 for a critical plan that saves the entire group or many people. 100 to 300 for endangering your own life to help others. 500 to 700 for self-sacrifice in a life and death situation. I would assume you'd have to survive to get this. You get 100 XP for avoiding unnecessary violence. 1 to 200 for deductive reasoning and or insight. 50 for good judgment. 50 for good for playing into character. 50 to 100 points for being daring, clever or not. You get 25 to 50 for killing or subduing a minor menace. 75 to 100 for a major menace, and 150 to 300 for a great menace. As you see, beating people up isn't worth that much XP. Anyway, a lot of your education programs, except for Feral, give you what's called an apprenticeship. So you can choose one of these apprenticeships, whether it's armorer, artisan, electrician, farrier, that's kind of like your horse and carriage kind of guys, healer, mariner, mechanic, teamster, that's, oh wait, no. A farrier is a, that's your blacksmith, I'm sorry. Your teamster is your horse and buggy guy. And then, of course, weaponsmith. And then, of course, you get secondary skills as well. There's a little more like personal interest stuff. This is kind of a listing of the skills and their starting percentages. And like the plus 5% here, that's how much you get every time you level. So, and here's some more. And then this kind of just explains what each skill does. I'm just going to kind of a little faster here. Like I said, you can always pause the video if you want to, actually read it. All right, and then this kind of explains your animal psionics. It gives you like your range, how long it lasts, the minimum your mental endurance has to be to have it, whether or not there's a savings throw, and how much it costs in BioE to have that power. And then they're normally they're fueled by ISP, but this game doesn't use ISP. It does give you an ISP for when you go to other places that use it, so because you are a psionic. So, yeah. And then here's your mutant animal powers. Some characters who choose to stay the same way they are, they'll retain some of their weapons. Like right here, you see antlers and horns. So like if you're some kind of an elk character, you might still have your horns. If you're a rhino, you might still have your horn, as an example. So it kind of explains, what they do, what each power does, and it'll vary from animal to animal. And now we're going to get into the actual animals. So like an alligator or crocodile, for example, they start off with 30 BioE, and they start off at size level 12. So if we go back here, we're going to have to go like way back. Here we are. So he starts off here at size level 12. So it doesn't cost him any BioE to be size level 12. Now if he wants to shrink, so if he wants to be a little more human size, say he wants to go down to a 10, see, he'll get 10 BioE because it's 55 at 12. So he'll gain 10 BioE by shrinking, allowing him to buy more stuff in his thing. And then if he stays at level 12, then he gets a +6 to his physical strength, a +4 to his physical endurance. He'll lose 2 points off of his speed, and he starts with 40 structural damage capacity. That's kind of like a secondary hit points. That's your cuts, your scrapes, your bruises. So, yeah. So let's get back to our gator friend here. Oh. All right, so now as for, like this is just a gator as you see it today, a regular gator crawling on the ground. So if he wants to have hands, he has to spend 5 BioE for partial hands. That's kind of like, I call it the thumb and 2 fingers hand. Or if he wants a full hand with like, all the digits and all that, then that's 10 BioE. So you see your BioE can go pretty quick. Let's say you want to be an animal that looks fully human. In every respect, that's 10, 20, 30, 40 BioE right there. How much he only started with 30. So you see, his BioE will go pretty fast. Now, he can take disadvantages to give himself more BioE. He can shrink his body to give himself more BioE. So like here, color blindness. So basically, he's not able to see colors. If he takes that drawback, that gives him 5 BioE. On the other hand, reptile brain, predator. Basically, he's still a very predatory person. As just like a gator or a croc is a predatory animal, he'll still have those predatory instincts. Vestigial tail means he's got this big long tail that's kind of useless. It's just it's knocking stuff over, and nocturnal metabolism means he's more active at night than in the day. He'll take minuses if he's out and about during the day, basically. Diet carnivore, if he tries to eat like a salad or something, it's going to give him minuses because he'll be sick. So, there's that. So, I'm going to kind of try to get past the animals here. And there's a lot of different animals you could play. We went a little too far here. All right, so here's kind of like... this kind of gives you the gist of what happened for what caused everything. You can pause the video and read it if you want. And then, of course, this is kind of the world overview of what's going on all around the world. So, like here, at the top of the world, the Arctic. It talks about Europe here. It talks about the Antarctic. It talks about New France here, Africa. You got the Middle East and India, Asia. And then, of course, you got, Central and South America, Cuba, however you want to pronounce it. And then, of course, you have your Pacific North America. There are actually a lot of updates to this book, too. There's about, I think, 5 or 6. So, like I said, there's Cardania. This is the animal kingdom. No pun intended. And, of course, you have the Empire of Humanity. President Dana, she's a Fox character. She's their current president. The Empire of Humanity is run by Emperor Christian. He's actually from the game Heroes Unlimited. I think you have other people there as well. You have the canines, which not every dog character is from this, just so you know. But they have their own canine division who, dogs are man's best friend. These are kind of the only animal characters they accept. Anyway, so they have their giant-sized robot armor, which is like a walking tank. That's this thing here. Then they have their secondary robotic body armor, which they put their troops into. And then they have these crappy AI security robots that are kind of bad. But, the Empire of Humanity also has combat vehicles. They got their Saber 15 jet fighter bomber. They got their LC-12 assault helicopters, 35H armored tanks. And then, of course, this kind of explains New Kennel a little bit. And the Spider is a assassin character that they have. And then they mention other places in our Empire of Humanity, like the Plains of Free Cattle, the Rodent Cartel of Philly, Nyack, Bird Island, which I think is like around Manhattan or something like that. Then you have Contested Lands, and then it talks a little more about North, South, whatever. It kind of, And then here you can just, random NPCs you can roll up. Then what I really like is they have like random scavenging tables here, which is kind of nice. I use these in some of my other games. So and then of course you have some adventures in the back. So yeah, that's After the Bomb. I don't know if it'll be a game that you like, but if you like animals and you like role playing games, it's a natural fit for you, I think. So it's set in the 21st century. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.